Hi, my friend. So this video is about what is after enlightenment. So if you haven't watched it, I've made this video about enlightenment, what it is, and also the different definitions of enlightenment. So enlightenment on one hand is non-duality, meaning oneness with everything, where the personal lets go and the everythingness or form is latched onto. The other definition of enlightenment is actually no form or formlessness that's latched onto in any way. It's no self. It's anatta. It's gone beyond. In this video, I'll go into what happens after enlightenment, meaning no self or anatta or nothing that is latched onto. This happened to me 6 months ago, so it's pretty fresh. And I say me, but there's nothing that would refer to me. But I know that's a talking concept, and we can't talk in other ways than concepts. I could say here, what's here, but it makes sense to keep our normal words and say me. Or let's say I'm used to that again. So after no self, I think let's keep it general. I want to touch on some points. So the first one is kind of you're a black hole through which everything just arises without any personal shape or form. There can still be personal or self-referential thoughts, but there's no sense of self. There's no sense of being a person. There's no sense of anything when I look inward, any reference to anything that's happening inside is more personal than anything happening on the outside. Anything that I do is not more personal than anything that, for example, my partner does or my kids do. It feels just as personal, just as same, just as me, as what they're doing. Seems just like me too. I think that's a big aspect, this impersonalness of everything, but also this intimacy with the lovely saying, the 10,000 things of Zen Buddhism, which means the 10,000 things mean everything. So everything has this intimacy, this directness. Another thing people talk about is this unfilteredness of everything that comes up. And I can relate to that. So I've had this another thing which is quite common is some fear response after no self. And I had that meaning that everything I would normally be a little bit fearful of, I would be very fearful of. For me, that started out with, I think, a couple of weeks after this enlightenment or this no self happened, I was quite afraid of going on the train. And then I went to another city with my daughter to just, both daughters actually, to play there. And I was quite afraid on the train for, let's say, the first minute. And then it calmed down. But there was definitely a barrier for me to go into that. I haven't been flying since, but I can imagine that might be a thing too, because it's new and because I'm quite aware of all the things that can go wrong, but do not go wrong usually, of course. Not only with flying and with traffic and things like that, but just in general. I think that has to do with that fear response that has been a lot more subtle and quieted down over time, because it's now 6 months later. And at the beginning, I needed to get used to this new state and was a little bit, like I said, a little bit fearful. Another general thing to say about this is you become more of what you already are, because life can play the role that is meant for you better if it has no resistance, no sense of self, no hindrances, we could say. So I've noticed myself go even more all in on this, on coaching people spiritually, teaching people spiritually. I've been having more clients and it's very nice. I've been really enjoying working with people. And that's because this is what I knew I was wired to do for a very long time. And now it's kind of happening without resistance. So that's really nice. So you become more of what you already are. That's a big thing. That's something to remind yourself of with this shift. I've seen some people go more into a phase where they're more to themselves. They want to keep it more quiet. They want to give themselves more silence. They want to take it easier for the body, for the mind. But I've also heard of different people that became more productive after no self, that do even more, that are more nonstop, more on. I feel myself in that latter category, where I tend to do more of what I was already doing more exercising, being more energized to do things with family, being more active in general, having less resistance to different chores, and doing more work, needing less distraction, less time spent on working with Kundalini or with different things. I don't have non-stop Kundalini anymore. It has quieted down a lot. I do have some Kundalini sometimes, let's say maybe once or twice a day, which is, I used to have it non-stop almost. Let's say Kriyas from the Kundalini awakening. So in general, the whole conditioning part, there is still conditioning that's being seen through this new lens. And I've heard of other people having that for a couple of years or months at least after no self. So it's not the end of the journey. There is no end to the journey, right? But it's a new chapter. It's a big new chapter where everything now wants to, without this filter, adjust itself to this new reality, and will, take some time. But overall, my journey was a lot more tumultuous before that drop than after, because afterwards I noticed less energy and less conditioning coming up. But the conditioning that comes up is, you could say, more deeper layers even. So that's beautiful because it gives me more opportunity to cleanse. And I did have some slight perceptual shifts, but it's almost, from what I heard from people that have had the no self shift like 25 years ago, there's never a shift as big as that one anymore, because it's the biggest we can change. It's like going back to our original nature fully, experientially, right? Not mentally, not cognitively, but experientially. And I think in general, that it's the end of insight. But still, that view gets refined, even though we've reached a sort of point where you understand, let's say, what this journey is. That doesn't mean that it doesn't get refined every day, in every moment. So it's a beautiful journey in that sense. And healing, in a way, also never ends. That's also beautiful, because maybe the backlog of healing at some point ends, but healing in the moment never ends, because there, always things can happen, or emotions can be triggered, or stuff like that can be worked on. But it's way more subtle. That's my sense I've been getting from myself, is that still a lot happens, but it's way more subtle, and it's not so distracting and big as it used to be. So life after enlightenment, well, there is some getting used to it, but overall you get more of what you already are, and for most people that's quite nice. But it is something that takes time to get used to, and for some people that's a very easy, very fast process. For other people it takes more time, for other people it takes a long time. But for me it has been quite nice and quite easy so far. So I'm really happy with that, because my journey up until this no self or enlightenment was quite intense. I found myself doing a lot of work on myself. A lot of meditation, a lot of shadow work, a lot of Kundalini, a lot of interesting insights and visualizations and different things. So I'm really happy to be able to share it with you guys. And if you have any questions about life after enlightenment or life after no self, just leave a comment below. If you have any personal questions, just let me know as well. And you can always schedule a free coaching call. And I'm thinking of starting more of a community where we can do Q&As together and where we can meet each other and chat with each other as well. And if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments or send me a direct message via Instagram or via my website, via my email. So much love to you. Thank you for watching this and I hope you have a great day. Bye.